Thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Impact Podcast. I'm your host LBJ. I'm extremely excited to introduce my guest for this episode, Yeves Perez. Yeves is a recipient of the NAACP PowerShift grant. He is a member of Forbes The Culture. He is building his TechStars Venture-backed, minority-owned and run Black-owned tech company, B2B SaaS company in Tulsa, Oklahoma, just blocks away from Black Wall Street. Thank you so much for hopping on the episode and hopping on the podcast, Yeves.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So I saw you reaching out, or posting in Forbes The Culture, and I was like, I got to talk to this dude. I got to have him on the podcast. So I'm extremely grateful for that. But before we get into WorkBnB, because I have a ton of questions on that, I want to hear about your background, hear a bit about your journey, so that you know, listeners of the podcast are aspiring entrepreneurs and especially aspiring Black and brown entrepreneurs. So yeah, I want to hear a bit about your journey. And my first question, kind of where are you from? Did you do anything entrepreneurial as a kid? What was childhood what was growing up like for you? So
yeah. It's funny. I grew up in Sacramento, California, which is the state capital of California.
Yeah.
And California has a really complicated history, but also it's going to have a complicated future. It's very segmented from the rest of the country. So what I mean by segmented is we don't know a lot about Black culture throughout the United States in Sacramento. We only know about our own regional culture. So even though I grew up in a very large Black family, and I'm half Black, half Mexican, by the way, Blaxican as I like to call
it.
My family originates from the East Coast, Camden, New Jersey, all the way down to South Carolina. But my family migrated to California. That side of the family migrated. Now, my Mexican side of my family are what are called Californios. So what it means is that they originate from Central California. They did not cross the border. It's once the country, took the land from Mexico, as we all know, right? They were just naturalized as citizens.
Wow.
So that's kind of my family dynamics. But as far as entrepreneurialism go, my grandparents and great grandparents were all entrepreneurs. There's some of us that have that legacy where they were either seamstress or, in my case, my grandfather was into dental work. He would make dentures and fake teeth for people. But my grandmother moved the family to Sacramento for a new start. And under getting grants, she actually founded her own school for disabled children.
Oh, wow.
And an entire nonprofit system for it. So she had housing. She was in housing then. And she was acquiring homes through grants to house these disabled children.
Wow.
And my grandmother was so entrepreneurial. She even opened up a pizza parlor. And I'm talking it was called Mrs. T's Organic Pizza. She was making organic pizza in the 80s, eating wheat crust. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
She was juicing in the 80s. She was growing food in her backyard. I come from this family of entrepreneurs. So it inspired a lot of family members to get into real estate.
Yeah.
So I have that rich culture. But again, even though all that cool stuff was going on, I never knew about HBCUs. I didn't know about Black Wall Street. I didn't know about Juneteenth. I found all these other things out when I'm in my 30s. So the West Coast, even though we have a lot of things going on, we are still very segmented from the entire Black experience and Black culture of the rest of the country. So I've had quite the journey. My journey is incredible right now.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you're growing up in Sacramento. What did you ever think you'd be a tech entrepreneur as you were growing up?
Absolutely not. I mean, this was like the farthest thing, because I mean, if you think about it,
Yeah.
when you have people that you aspire to be like, or you want to follow in the footsteps,
Yeah.
you only think about going as far as they have gone, which in a
Mhm.
lot of Black families, that's real estate ownership, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe owning a restaurant or a business like this or that, right? Like
Yeah.
tech just seems like so foreign and distant, and you don't have a relative that started a tech it
Yeah.
started a tech company. You may have a relative that works at a tech company,
Yeah.
but founding and working are just, total polar opposites, right? I mean,
Entirely
that's
different
just the
things.
natural order. So I never had any ambitions of being a tech founder, but
Yeah.
once I kind of found it, it's been the best decision of my life.
That's awesome. We're gonna get into that in just a second. So, as I heard a bit about your background and how your mom was in, I think you said Reno, Nevada,
Right.
and she called you down there to help her scale her short-term rental business, right?
Right. Yep.
I want to hear that from your perspective. But before we jump into that, what were you doing before then?
So I was just like, I was screwing up my life. I mean, I was just not making any sense of my life, like,
Yeah.
I will freely admit this. A lot of people don't know this about me, but
Mhm.
I was a rebel in high school.
Yeah.
I was very smart, but I wasn't challenged enough. And
Yeah.
when my teachers were getting on my nerves, like I really was like rebelling. And it got to a point where I decided to drop out of high school
Wow.
with only 3 credits to graduate.
What?
And yeah, like to me, graduating was not
Yeah.
as important as like me being challenged
Yeah.
to graduate at a higher level. Like I was just very gifted, very smart, but again, I wasn't challenged. And now looking back, I was like, man, I should have gotten into more programs. I should have done things that, but again, that's just part of my journey.
Yeah.
And then once I got out of high school, I refused to go and get my GED. Like, I mean, like
Yeah.
as like a statement, like, no, like I'm gonna make it without it.
Right.
And then when I read this book about the millionaire mindset, that there was like this survey of like
What's the
these
book?
numbers of the millionaire mindset.
Oh, it was a millionaire. Okay, yeah.
How many they did like a survey of how
Yeah.
many active millionaires graduated from high school or college, and there was an
Yeah.
overwhelming, numbers. I think it was like 73% that dropped out or had C's
Wow.
or D's. And
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, I can make it. I
Yeah,
can. Like
100%.
statistically, I can make it.
Yeah.
So what I did was I just started to pursue passions.
Okay.
Now, there's a difference between a passion and a business, though.
Yeah.
And I couldn't distinguish the two. Like I was just pursuing all these things that I was just kind of interested in, and I kept failing and failing and failing. But then I discovered a love for writing and marketing. And
Yeah.
once I kind of got into that, and I failed at that too. I mean, I had some wins and some wins and quite a few losses.
Yeah.
Um, it eventually led me to do a campaign for a chef in San Diego. He was failing himself, and he was like, listen, I need a rebound. I need to get my name back up in the papers. I need to. And I said, listen, I would love to do the work for you. I will do it almost for free. You just got to pay me like a couple $100 a week
Yeah.
and feed me, since he was a chef. and and we were doing these things called pop-up dinners. I don't know if you ever heard of that before.
No, I haven't.
It's where a chef is trying to prove himself in the food scene. So what he does is he pops up at different restaurants on their off night. So like, let's say a Monday night or a Sunday night is slow.
Yeah.
That chef, he or she would take over that restaurant and do their own menu. But it was a foodie menu, which means it's usually like 5 to 7 courses, but you don't know what you're going to get until you show up. And people who are food adventurous. They love this type of thing. They're willing to pay $60 to $80 a ticket to go.
I'm like, let me know where the first one is in Chicago. Like,
right. Look up pop-up dinners. I mean, these things do happen. So I managed his campaign, and we ended up winning best advertising campaign of the year in San Diego.
Oh wow! So
yeah,
like,
and
it was like right away.
Yeah. He was only paying me like $100 a week. So we built
That's
out.
Awesome.
We beat out Hilton hotels. We beat out like the car dealers that were running all these ads. Yeah, I mean, like this little like low budget. I mean, again, I was like a nobody. He was somebody, but he took a risk on me, and then that's where I got it on and popping. So once I started to hit success there, I was able to get hired by Chevrolet. I got to help launch the Chevy Volt in San Diego County. I got to work with Solar City, and I got to make a name for myself. But I was an independent though. I wasn't in a shop yet. I didn't have a shop. I didn't have like a big team. Like even though I had won, I had failed at the same time because I was getting turned down by bigger clients who were like, listen, well, you don't have a shop, so why would I hire you? So even though I was a winner, I was still a loser to them. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. But then that's when my mom called, like out of the sky, she called.
So tell us about that story.
Yeah, so my mom at the time was transitioning out of her career. She had been in the mortgage business for a very long time. The mortgage collapsed 2008, like we all remember it, like it was like a horrible thing. She got laid off, and then she got rehired into some other jobs that were not up to her caliber, her skill. And
what year is this that she called you, by the way?
So she called me in 2019.
2019,
but in 2016, she blew out both of her hands, double carpal tunnel.
Oh wow!
And she had to go through surgery, and then she got a disability, awarded a disability, and with her disability money, she was like, okay, well, I don't want to just stay at home and watch daytime TV. I want to start some sort of a company. So what she did, what was popular at the time, was starting up an Airbnb business. And that was remember that was like the popular thing to do. Oh, let me get into this Airbnb thing. Right. So she became an Airbnb host in 2017, and she had 3 rentals. And when she called me, it was like the craziest thing. So this is like early 2019. I'm kind of like supporting my mom from afar. I'm like, go mom with your Airbnbs, right?
And you're still doing marketing back home in
Sacramento. I'm doing marketing. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing marketing. And I'm in the middle of campaigns. Like I'm like pitching to new clients.
Yeah.
So at that time, 2019, there was this thing going on. We call it the California exodus. Companies were leaving the Bay Area. The real estate market was just too out of control. People that were working at Google couldn't afford the real estate anymore. Like it was just too much, So companies were leaving in droves, and they were going to 3 states. They were going to Nevada, Texas, and Florida. And Reno was the closest move for a lot of these small tech startups. It was a 4-hour drive from the Bay Area, but they also got to go up to Lake Tahoe. I don't know if you ever heard of Lake Tahoe. But
I've heard of it. Never been there. Yeah.
Right. So if you fly in to go to Lake Tahoe, you have to fly into Reno.
Okay.
And that was just like a really great selection for them. The cost of living was lower than the Bay Area. So my mom was getting these bookings, and they were longer than vacation stays. And one of the stays that were in one of her rentals was a team that was part of a relocation, a tech company relocating. And they were bragging to the CEO about how sweet and nice and how professional my mom was. They were like, you have to hire this lady to help with our relocation. So she, unbeknownst to me, she went to a meeting, and she guaranteed to the CEO that she could set up the housing for his employees, which turned out to be housing 65 people.
What?
So she had to open up 23 apartments, And the contract was
what?
they had to be open in 3 weeks. So she signed the contract, she got paid, and then she calls me up and she's like, Yeves, I bought you a plane ticket. You need to get your ass up here to help me open up these apartments. And I was like, what? Bro.
That's crazy.
I was like, I got a whole life here. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
She made the deal and then called you, was like, hey, I need you to help me.
Yeah, I need you. Now the thing is, like, I had made some moves that didn't work out, and that's how it is in business. You take some risks
100%.
and they don't always work out. So I was actually, at the time, I was like in kind of like a bind, and I was like already crawling my way out of it. And I was like, well, this is an easier way than me crawling. Like, I could just go up there and just help her make some money real quick, and then I could come back and figure my life out.
Yeah.
So I go up there and I help her out with these apartments. Yo, the first day I land, it's snowing in Reno, and there's a truck that shows up with like 65 beds in the back of a big old semi. And I'm like, yo, like, this is a mess. Like, the movers are late. She's like telling me to coordinate stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna jump into my mom's business, and that's how it happened. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's amazing. So during that, is that when you got the idea for WorkBnB?
No, actually, do you listen to TED Talks?
Yes, I love TED Talks.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the guy, but he talks about getting hunches, that when you get a hunch that leads to another hunch, that leads to another hunch, you're on to something. And what you have to do is you have to pursue that. So I got a hunch that there was something going on, because I was like, well, why would this one company pay my mom? Like, why would they, like, so then I started to do research, and the research led me to the next hunch, that there was no corporate housing giant in Reno. It's considered a mid-market.
Okay. Yeah.
So to them, it's not as popular as Chicago, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, well, there's no corporate housing. So either we're going to stay at a hotel, a motel, or an extended stay hotel, or there are these Airbnb vacation rentals. Well, if you've ever stayed in that extended stay hotel, they have nothing but like a little kitchenette that has like pots and pans that look like something from the Dollar Tree,
right?
You know, but when you go to these Airbnbs, man, these things are nice now. Like
100%.
they're like,
every time I travel, it's only Airbnb. Yeah.
Right. So now the only problem is that Airbnb is built for vacation travel or short-term travel, right? If you try to book something for 6 months and you're looking at, and you're only going to see like a short amount of listings because their calendar is open for that period of time. And then they're charging you this absorbent nightly rate. And Airbnb, for example, charges 14% no matter how long you stay. So, so if you stay for 2 nights or you stay for 6 months, they're charging you 14%.
Right.
So I was just getting these hunches. I was like, wait a minute. But going back to my mom's business, this is where I found the vein that became like the genesis of WorkBnB. Was that Airbnb does not tell you about the traveler at all. It barely gives a good name and a good address and a good phone number. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't know why they went. So being a marketing guy, my mom asked me, she said, can you do my marketing for my business? And I was like, oh, okay, fine. All right. So I look into the data, and the data wasn't telling me anything. And I was like, okay, well, I do have 2 years of previous booking history. So, and I have all their phone numbers. So I had to do it old school. Like, I couldn't like index this thing. I had to call each and every person for months, asking, why did you come to Reno?
Yeah.
And I started to create like
from her
these
past
buckets.
guests.
Right, past guests for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I just put them into a bucket. okay, this one was for 2 weeks or longer. This one was for a month or longer. This one was 2 weeks or less. And each bucket, I asked, why did you come to Reno? And what I found out was that 65% of her bookings for the last 2 years were all workforce related travel. They were traveling because their job required them to travel. And I was like, oh, okay. So once I kind of like found that out, I started to look up something that if you look it up in any market, if you Google the term workforce housing, there is this massive deficit that housing is not being like allocated to workforce.
That's
so
incredible.
I was like, oh, okay. So now that's where my marketing brain comes in. You
It's
know
like
how like people
me listening to you, this is incredible. Like that's awesome. You're
yeah,
seeing it. Yeah.
yeah. So marketing people, we come up with like we you know, like how you name a movie or you name a podcast or you name a t-shirt line. I was like, I need to name this as something. and what I did was I just took the natural like vernacular that they were using, workforce housing. And over here we were using vacation rentals. And I was like, well, to get the two to talk, let's call them workforce rentals. And once I did that, the demand went off the chain, bro. Like we had companies calling us up like pizza. Can I get 7 3-bedrooms and 2 1-bedrooms for a year? And I need it in like 3 weeks. And we scaled her up to become the largest short-term rental operator in Northern Nevada.
What? That is amazing.
Yeah.
So when you change this name, is this name change in Airbnb? Is it kind of you doing SEO outside of it, or?
So I was struggling with my mom on this. You know, this is a story, part of the story I don't talk about, but I know she's going to listen to this anyway. So she named her company PKL Homes. Her first name was Pamela Lovelace. My dad's name is Keith Lovelace. And PKL, you know, they wanted some like legacy thing. And I was like, but that doesn't mean anything to anybody, you know, PKL Homes. So I was like, okay, well, the only way I can like, again, get this to index in Google is I need to get these keywords. So again, workforce rentals, that's what I named the product. You can have workforce rentals by PKL Homes.
Okay, that makes total sense. That's incredible. So you finally got the idea. Like, what was that first step? How did you begin to launch it?
Well, so first what we did was we did a website for my mom. And again, it's like the hunch leads to a hunch, right?
Right.
So now the media calls and they want to do a cover story on us. So me and my mom, you know, I mean, here's the thing about Reno. The black population's 1% in Reno. 1%. So for a black female business owner and her son to be on the cover of a business newspaper in Reno, that was news in itself, you know?
Right.
So, but again, it was like our story that we had discovered this thing. And at the time that story was about to drop, the local baseball team called us up and said, hey, we need you to house players and we need you to. And then we got another call from CEOs that were relocating. Hey, we need. So we were doing bookings like crazy.
That's incredible.
And it was just a time where it was like going good during a very difficult time. At that time that article dropped, COVID was hitting.
Oh, wow. So you're still booking out during COVID?
Well, so this was the early days of COVID. This is when, you know, it was kind of like in the news, but nothing had shut down yet. And then weeks later, the shutdown happened. But this was where the genius part was. Since we had already pivoted to workforce, those were the only travelers that governors were allowing to travel, were essential workers. So we remained 95% occupied
That is
month
amazing.
after month during COVID, where the vacation rental industry tanked. All the
That is
bookings
amazing.
in Airbnb land were canceled. Rentals were empty month after month, and people were struggling to pay their rents and their mortgages. We were busy.
Wow. That's amazing. So when does this turn into, so I guess that's 2020, 2021. When does this turn into WorkBnB, which I think launched last year, right?
Happened. Yeah, the big booking happened. It was the mega booking. It was like, yo, it almost knocked my pants off, bro. I was like, oh my God. Okay, so during COVID, and if anybody who's listening remembers this, during COVID, out on the streets, it was like nothing was going on but construction. All the construction projects were going on crazy. So in Reno, there was a freeway expansion project. There was this huge interchange section in the middle of town that was going under like an expansion of lanes. And this year was going to be, or that project was like the mega blockbuster project in town.
Right.
Now everybody was at home, so nobody cared, you know? So so the company called us up and said, we need you to house like one person. And then they called back a few weeks later, we need you to house 20 people. And then we need you to house another 5 people. And I was just like, okay, like every time they called, I was like, what else do you need, boss? Like what? And then they were like, well, we have this really complex employee. He's kind of a jerk. He's very demanding. He's the site supervisor, so he's going to be overseeing the project. And this guy is super demanding. So I was like, okay, well, what does he need? And there's like, well, he needs a 2-bedroom condo. He needs a smoker because he likes to smoke meats. He needs NFL ticket because he likes to watch the games. Like, I'm just taking this down like a pizza order. I'm like, okay, what else do you need?
Everything is like, I'm like, okay, I would like NFL ticket, but then when you add the smoker in there, it's like, what?
Like he needs a covered parking spot. He needs his apartment cleaned like every 2 weeks. And I was just like, okay, let me just keep writing this down. And then we get to the budget. I'm like, okay, so what's the budget? The budget's $200 a night. And I'm like, okay, for Reno, 200. I know the numbers. That's pretty good.
Right.
Like even at like the height of summer season, $200 a night is pretty good. And I was like, okay, how long do you need it for? And they said, with a straight face, 2.5 years. I said,
oh,
I'm like scrambling to get the pen. Sign here.
Right.
Well, like, there's $180,000 booking. Now, if you know anybody on Airbnb, yo, Airbnb hosts will brag. Oh, bro, I just got a $2,000 booking. Yes. Oh, bro, I just got a $5,000. Bro, I just got a $180,000 booking, bro. Like, I was like,
what?
Yo, and then it was like God touched my brain.
Yeah.
The hunch that led to the hunch that led to the other hunch was just like snowballing like this. My brain was like, oh my God. And I was thinking of this at scale all of a sudden. And then thank God I didn't shut up and just take the money. I said, Seth, that was our contact, the project executive. I said, how many states does Ames Construction operate? He said, we operate in 27 states. We're the 74th largest industrial GC in the United States. I was like, okay, so you're number 74. So there's 73 other companies that do what you do. He's like, actually, he goes, there's 922 that do what we do.
Oh my.
And I was like, okay. I said, how many projects do you guys bid on per state per month? I'm just trying to see if he gives me like a juicy answer. He's like, well, we bid on 25 projects per state per month on average. I said, how many of those do you net? He said, we net a quarter of that. And I said, so every time you guys need housing like this? And he's like, we don't do small things. We do roads, bridges, highways,
Wow.
dams, railroads. Like we are industrial general contractors. And I
Yeah.
said, oh, okay. So then I was just like, well, I'm thinking about it, building an app. Okay. I don't know why. Like that was the
Did
first
you
thing that
send
came to
it
my
to him
mind.
right
Yeah, I said
then?
that to him.
Oh,
I
wow.
said, but I will not do it unless you're the first customer. You have to agree to be the first customer. And he said yes. And
What?
it was on and popping from there.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like I'm over here shocked because like I'm in sales, my wife is in sales. Like it's like it's like it was just so natural for you to like just grab it on and like find the opportunity and seize it in that moment. That's amazing. So you immediately you get the idea for the app. Immediately, like you're like, this is what like this is what I'm doing. This is what's happening next. What was your first step?
Oh man. The first step was acknowledging that I don't know shit about tech. That was the first step. I
So
mean,
you have
honestly,
any
like
background in like coding
no,
anything?
nothing. Like I'm a user, bro. Like I'm an app user, and that is it. That's all I know about apps is how to turn one on, how to put my name and my credit
Yeah.
card in and buy. But the I have a gift of researching.
Right.
Um, it's been a gift that I've had, you know, all the way down to just being like a little kid. Like I
Yeah.
used to research about ancient Egyptian culture. I was obsessed. And when you have a healthy obsession, you always like want to ask more questions to lead to more answers and all that
Yeah.
type of stuff. So I naturally wanted to get a little obsessed about this. Like I just started to like ask questions and I started to just read and research. But being in business, you know, you typically kind of gravitate to also like certain leaders in tech
Right.
or certain leaders in business. Steve Jobs was one of those for me.
Yeah.
You know, think differently because remember
Right.
I'm in marketing, right?
Right.
So I was like, think differently, and his think differently mentality was already engraved in
Yeah.
my ethos of Yeves as the marketer already.
Right.
So once I kind of like took the marketing muscle and put it behind into more research,
Yeah.
here's what I found out. I discovered something called a user journey.
Yeah.
And that is where we found out that 90% of all the booking products have the wrong user journey for this client base.
Okay.
That this client base does not do the typical booking. The typical booking, and it doesn't matter whether it's booking.com or Orbitz or
Right.
Kayak, Priceline, Airbnb, they all have the same user journey, which is book for yourself. Even if you were to book like on booking.com, you wanted to come and stay at a hotel.
Yeah.
If you booked it and it's for somebody else, when you get to that hotel, the hotel's like, yo, you need to put your credit card. Well, my friend booked it for me. No, you
Yeah.
need to put your credit card, right?
I just had
It's
this
the
issue with a family member not too long ago.
right,
Yeah.
right. In fact, if you tried to book an Airbnb for a family member coming to Chicago, you violated Airbnb's terms of services. They
What?
will not let you book for somebody else.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
So in traveling workforce, the workers don't get to choose where they stay. The
Yeah.
company books for them. So I was like, okay, that's where the user journey is wrong. So then the think differently mentality came over me, and I was like, we may actually need to scrap the search bar. We may need to
Yeah.
do this completely differently. And then once I got down that rabbit hole, yo, like my life has changed forever because now I'm really in tech.
Yes, that's amazing. Like it's you. I was reading this book a while back. It's called The Innovator's DNA. And they talk about sometimes you need like that almost not beginner's mindset, but like someone who's not inside the space to come in to really allow it to be disruptive. And
Yeah.
you're like embodying that. That's amazing. So you're in TechStars. How did that happen? From like you had the initial idea, you're starting to figure out this user journey. So first off, congrats. But
Thank you.
what's that step there?
So that was actually probably the most special thing that's happened to me in this entire tech journey. I mean,
Wow.
even more greater than just getting your first client, because
Yeah.
we as Black and brown founders are classically overlooked, and that was
100%.
my story in Reno.
Yeah,
I
I think
had this client,
yeah.
I had all this success, I had bookings behind, I had 250 corporate related bookings. Like I had
Wow.
figured out this user journey and could replicate it. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I just have to replicate it on an app. So I just need to get there. So I went to the local tech ecosystem. I'm talking like University of Nevada, Reno. I
Yeah.
went to the incubator programs. I went to the accelerator programs, and they rejected us. They just didn't see any promise in us. They didn't. In
Wow.
fact, the entire time that I was building it with my co-founder Dajanique Staples, from May 2001 when we founded the April 2001 when we founded the
Yeah.
company, and we filed paperwork and all that type of stuff,
Yeah.
all the way into the winter. We only had 3 introductions made for us in Reno. That was
What?
it. Yeah, like nobody wanted to say or spend any social capital on us and say, you know what, this might be the next big idea in travel tech.
That's unbelievable.
I think you should. So no banks wanted to meet with us, no heads of departments,
Yeah.
no government official. I couldn't even meet with anybody from city council. I couldn't meet with anybody from the mayor's office. There was just no interest. And the reason was
Oh, wow.
because, again, very small minority group. We're the only brown and Black people in the room.
Yep.
And we also were not the hot flavor of the month. The hot flavor of the month at that time was blockchain.
Yep.
And I tell all my friends this: if I would have made a startup that made dog food on the blockchain, I would have been the hottest startup in Reno. I would have had all the attention, just because you throw blockchain on something.
Yeah.
That's it. And because
Yeah.
I didn't want to just throw blockchain on WorkBnB,
Yep.
I was just like, not it. And
Yeah.
there was a local accelerator program that we signed up for. Again, we got skipped, we got passed. They didn't like
Wow.
us. So then we decided, you know what? Let's leave Reno. Let's go out into the wild
Yeah.
and take our product to another market. And that's where we followed the data to Orlando.
Okay.
Orlando was one of the largest relocation markets. That's where again, I got my experience with my mom doing relocation. I also was seeing that there was a lot of workforce travel, construction, engineering, architecture, even what do you call it? Aerospace tech, kind of tech. And I was like, okay, engineers traveling all over the place to go to these headquarters. So we went to Orlando and we started something called alpha testing. That's where you test out these theories of yours, and you start to lay out like what your wireframes are going to be and how the app is going to work.
Yeah.
Because you want to get early product market fit. That was one thing that I was learning from my research. The faster you can get product market fit, the more money you're going to make.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, so let's go test it out in Orlando. And we were getting activity. But one of the bookings that I got was from a tech company I was friends with the founder on Twitter. And he was sending me these tweets like, hey, I'm trying to find 6-month housing in Orlando. It's almost impossible. I've checked like 52 websites and he's like, I can't find anything. Can you help me? And I
Yeah.
said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna help. We're already here. Like, let's help you. So we got to working on his deal, but he went through TechStars for his tech company. And he was
Okay.
like, hey, you have really found something. I gotta tell you, because
Yeah.
he said, even when I went to the TechStars program in Atlanta, I couldn't find housing. I had to jump around 3 to 4 different Airbnbs in 3 months. And he said it was a nightmare. He was like, you figured out this longer term thing. Like, you really need to apply for TechStars.
Yeah.
So now here's the thing. My attorney was trying to talk me out of it though. He was like, bro, you have sales, you have you have articles on you. You
Yeah.
have
Is the app already built now, or you're still like?
Well, I was in building the demo app.
Okay. Yeah.
So he was like, don't go. He's like, don't just go to TechStars because you want to go to TechStars. Like, have a
Yeah.
reason why you want to go to TechStars. And that's where, he challenged me to dive deep into my business and my weaknesses, and
Yeah.
and find out what I was weak in and where TechStars could help us.
Okay.
And but the other thing, my marketing brain turned on. I said, if I go through TechStars, that means I could potentially house all the founders of TechStars in the future. Like, all these tech companies traveling all over the world would be using WorkBnB,
I
and
love
and they
it.
and they would gladly book because I'm a TechStars alum.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just packing in future sales by saying yes. So
Yes.
so from a sales perspective, I said yes. And then, we found the mentors to figure out where we weren't getting like good at building a business, and
Yeah.
we applied. And I applied for 2 programs, and the one I got picked up one was with Trey Baker and Tulsa, Oklahoma. And
Yeah.
for the Tulsa program, it was a brand new program, so
Wow.
there was no legacy of TechStars in that city.
Yeah.
So to be a part of an inaugural program is actually very special. And it was industry agnostic. So, they weren't focused on just med
Yeah.
tech or ed tech or clean tech. They
That's
accepted a lot
amazing.
of different things. But when, they asked us to move forward, it was the best feeling because it was validation from like
Yeah.
real tech
Right.
minded, scale focused, like, people.
Yeah.
And when you get that first big pre-seed check, that's like the best feeling in the world, because you're like,
Yeah.
somebody believes.
That's incredible. So
Yeah.
to go back a second, when you were when you were in Reno reaching out to, like, let's say Reno Chamber of Commerce and the tech ecosystem there, were you looking for funding at that time,
Yeah.
or no? Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, here's the thing, and this is the other thing about being a Black founder.
Yeah.
Um, when you're getting into tech, yo, we don't know nothing about funding. We don't know
Yeah.
nothing.
Yep.
And unfortunately, and I'm probably the only founder that's willing to admit this unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
I don't get that excited when another Black founder is screaming to the high heaven, I raised capital.
Mhm.
Because as exciting as that is to raise capital, my real question that comes in is, well, what was the terms?
Yeah.
Because if you signed away
Yeah.
40% of your company,
Yep.
that wasn't a good deal.
Yeah.
And even Mac McCleaver uh, uh, from Rare Breed Ventures, he put out a tweet. Mac the VC, Mac, what's up, Mac? He put out a tweet.
Yeah.
Pre-seed founders, stop selling 40% of your company at the
That's
pre-seed stage.
crazy.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
As Black tech founders, this is like the next frontier of creating Black generational wealth, to being able to
Absolutely.
pass these shares onto family members for
Yeah.
So if you sell it cheap now, yo, that's a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
So now a lot of people will make this argument. Well, you sold 6% of your company to TechStars. Isn't that cheap? Well, TechStars actually gives me the ability to buy it back though. So
Yeah.
so I can buy that 6% back.
Yeah.
So they have a buyback guarantee.
That's
So
amazing.
shout out to TechStars for
Yeah.
saying, you know what, like, yo, like if you want to buy it back, buy it back,
Yeah.
But if you're raising $1 million at a, you know, and I was actually just talking to a angel investment group right now from
Yeah.
Reno.
Okay. Wow, they came full circle.
They reached back out to us and it's like, tell me how much you're raising, blah blah blah. They said, oh, your valuation is too high for us. Our sweet spot is 3 to 6 million. Oh, okay. That means you basically want me to sell 40% of my company for your small check. No, thank
That's
you.
crazy.
Yeah. And
That's
and and
crazy.
and that's the thing. I
Yeah.
didn't know, I didn't have the knowledge until I went to TechStars. So
Wow.
shout out to TechStars for
Shout out
saving
to
my black ass.
TechStars. Shout out to TechStars. For real. That's incredible. I don't really hear too many people talking about that side of the
It's
VC space.
unpopular. A lot of founders won't want to talk about it because
Yeah.
again, sometimes they're building companies to exit quickly. Have you ever heard of that? Like I'm a 3-time
100%.
founder, 5-time
Yeah.
founder. That means they just like in fix and flip in real estate, they're building a
Yep.
tech startup just to sell it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's their exit strategy. That's what they want to be known for.
Yeah.
They love the thrill of building 0 to 1 and just
Yeah.
flipping it. Okay, no problem. But I'm trying to take this thing IPO.
I mean,
I'm trying to be at the
yes.
NASDAQ
Yes,
stock
sir.
exchange with work up on the
Yes, sir.
ticker, and my IPO is going nuts, and I'm on a private jet somewhere going to the
Yes,
next
sir.
meeting. You know what I mean? So,
Let me
so
know. I will be the first to be buying an IPO.
right. But again, you can't get there if you're selling all your company away.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's been amazing. I want to respect your time. I know we're coming up on time. So final couple questions.
Hey, real quick, I'm cool on time. If you
All
want
right,
to
great.
top some extra stuff, I'm here for it. We
Okay,
can do a
great.
little longer episode if you want.
All right, cool. So my next question then, you're recently engaged. Congrats.
Yes, thank you.
Your co-founder is your fiance. That's amazing.
Yes,
My wife is my best friend. I'm assuming it's the same. Y'all started a company together.
absolutely.
That's an interesting dynamic. Like, first off, like y'all are killing it. Like, Black power couple running a tech company, like that's an incredible company. Like you have the revenue, you have the plan for future revenue as well. What's been your favorite part of scaling this company with your best friend?
Oh man. So there's a couple of things. Number
Yeah,
one, Black women need to be in tech. They need to be
1
in tech.
million%. Yes,
And
sir.
this is a male dominated field by
Yeah,
far. And what Dajanique has accepted as her role is she's number 2 in the company. So I'm
yeah,
CEO, she's president.
yes, sir.
Anything happens to me, God forbid,
Yeah,
whatever, the company has a leader.
and it's staying in the family. That's
And
amazing.
and
Yeah,
and that's the thing is that she has a board seat, so she's on the board, and 50% of our board are women of color.
that's
So
incredible.
so so what we are leaning towards or leaning into be is the next generation of forward thinking tech companies where
Yeah,
every decision has a diverse lens at how we're looking at the company's growth, how
yep,
we're analyzing every decision based on our values, and we are also celebrating the fact that our product is being led by Black women. So
Yeah.
now we're what's called non-technical founders. Non-technical founders means, in just real short, sweet language, we don't know how to code shit.
Yeah.
So 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 we hired an app development firm, but we made a prerequisite that that firm was going to be either minority owned and or woman owned. And we
Oh,
found
that's incredible.
we found Copper and Vine out of Washington, D.C. that's owned by a Black woman named Rakia Finley. Shout out to Rakia.
Oh, I love that.
And so Dodge internally is head of product, and Rakia is our development. So the app is being designed by Black women. And again,
Wow.
like, I'm tapping into the Steve Jobs over here.
Yeah.
When we finish our alpha test this spring and we upload the first apps to the App Store.
Yeah.
You know how, like, when you buy an iPhone product and it says proudly designed by in California, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're gonna say this app is proudly designed by Black women on the App Store.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
and
incredible.
it's because it's a commitment to Black women. I was raised by Black women. My matriarch in my family, my grandmother, this is an ode to Black women, and we need that lens in business, you know. And I also learned from example. You look at Magic Johnson and his organization; it's led by women, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, it's just, you see it work, and you go, why would I even think about changing it? Why? For some, you know, ego or whatever? No. So that was like very intentional from day one. The other thing is, we just have like this chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm the extrovert. She's the introvert. I'm the speaker. She's the deep thinker. You know.
Yeah.
So yin and yang, right? And it balances out the leadership perspective, because we also made it part of our company and our DNA that we were going to be a board-led company. And a lot of tech founders don't talk about that, because they don't see the value in creating a board. A board keeps you out of trouble.
100%.
And one company that I saw that I said, I do not want WorkBnB to be anywhere associated with this kind of trouble, was how Adam Newman led WeWork. He was leading the company like he was a king, and whatever I decide goes. And he ran the company practically in the ground.
Yeah.
And just, you know, got kicked out of his own company.
Yeah.
It's because of this CEO-led mentality. And I was like, well, we're going to be more founder-led. So we as founders, we're making decisions as a board.
Yeah.
So we have active board meetings, we vote, then we act.
I love that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we talked a bit about Tulsa. That sounds like that was connected to TechStars. Is that correct? Yeah. So tell me, Tulsa, like, you all are building like down the street from Black Wall Street, which is like a ton of, like, I was surprised a ton of Black people still don't know about the legacy of Black Wall Street.
They don't. I didn't honestly. I didn't know nothing.
So tell me about that.
So I didn't start looking into Tulsa until I was accepted.
Okay.
And I'm getting ready to go to Tulsa. I don't know nothing about Tulsa. and then I'm hearing about like Black Wall Street, but again,
wait, so you're accepted and you still don't know about Tulsa?
Like, yeah. Like I was clueless about Tulsa. So right before we're getting ready to move, I'm researching.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a flyover state. It's a oil and gas state. Like, you know, I know the Thunder play, you know, but what else do I know? Like nothing.
Yeah.
So then I started to research that there's an ecosystem, and there's like this movement to rebuild Black Wall Street, rebuild Black Wall Street. And then what I find out once I get there that, yo, the story of Tulsa is the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy how there was like this massive movement to create Black generational wealth over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was robbed from them, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Yeah.
This community was ravaged 3 times, once in a massacre, once in a freeway being built through their entire community. Like, once a government takes property by eminent domain, like, yo, go get out. Like, right? And then they rebuilt again, and still more taken from them. So I was just like learning this repetition of pain. And then when you talk to the locals and you don't get the sugar coated story, what you really see is a community that is struggling with hope. They don't have hope. They feel left out of all the glitz and the glamour of what other cities are going through. And then they start to feel used, where other organizations come in to tell their story and interview people and then leave. And so again, it almost feels like a modern day version of Auschwitz or something, where it's just like it's a tourist attraction. It's like, let's go see where a bunch of people died and take photos and then leave. So there's like this residue of heartbreak. And I mean, I met a gentleman in his 80s, and he just felt like, again, there was just no hope. There's no hope for the future. And I'm over here like building a Black tech company. I'm like, dang, like, what can we do now? What the brainy people of Tulsa are doing, is they're banding together to build a Black tech ecosystem, to bring tech and tech jobs. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I can be part of this movement. I can go from this region where I'm underappreciated and overlooked, and bring my solution not only as a working product to your community, but also as, hire and build and do things. Okay, spend money too in the community, hiring local businesses. So I was like, okay, you know what? I want to get on this. And I mean, again, shout out to Trey Baker for leading as the managing director to really inspire us and challenge us to build the best businesses that we can, so that we can hire people.
Wow, that's incredible. Like, what with that, looking at it today, what is Tulsa like being there now? What does that mean to you?
So being in Tulsa means to me that I'm, and I'll say this out loud. I actually haven't said this out loud. I have a natural connection to the people from Black Wall Street that were specifically in housing.
Okay.
Black Wall Street has just this legacy of entrepreneurs. And I mean, I'm talking like, creating theaters, but also creating hotels and housing workers. And one of the things that, again, like, I just find myself being is in this housing business through tech, though. It's through tech. And I'm like, okay, you know what? If I can be like this next generation of dreamer that puts Tulsa on the map for tech innovation, thinking differently, doing things differently, and then scale this up company to become like the next Black unicorn. What is it going to do for the Tulsa community? It's going to create a lot of jobs. People are going to want to move to Tulsa. People are going to want to rebuild and grow and do things to the next level. But it took the execution still to make that happen. It's not like everything is handed to you. You don't get to Tulsa and there's just bags of money laying around, right?
Yeah.
Like you still have to pitch, sell, produce, educate, execute, multiple hats. We talk about this all the time in building business. You're wearing multiple hats. So for 3 months, I was hustling, yo. I met with the CEO of the local bank, Region Bank. Shout out to Sean Copeland and Peter Mullen. And the bank wanted our business. The bank, the CEO came to us and said,
"Oh, wow.
I want your business. I want to help you with your loans, your credit. We're going to help you build your credit. We're going to help you do this." Well, yo,
that's
like
incredible.
Coming from Reno, I couldn't I could barely meet with the branch manager, let alone the CEO of the bank. So now the CEO of the bank is on my cell phone. I can call up Sean Copeland and be like, Sean, yo, like I'm going to be in town, or let's go play golf, or let's go hang out and have lunch. Let's go.
That's incredible. Like the community has rallied behind y'all as well.
Right.
That's awesome. So final couple questions, what does 2023 look like for you? And then like, how are you going to get there? I guess is follow up to that. Yeah.
I love this question. All right. So yo, our growth is nasty, yo. I mean, like we're not the average startup. We're experiencing Series A growth at an early stage.
That's incredible.
When we built WorkBnB, we did not know that the U.S. government was going to pass a $1.3 trillion infrastructure investment act, which was going to basically cause 12 million construction workers to travel over the next 10 years.
Oh my God.
So those, I didn't know that. I mean, like I was just building out the wireframes, and all of a sudden I'm looking at the news and I'm like, Democrats and Republicans passed $1.3 trillion. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, wait a minute, that gives us a 10-year runway on this vertical. 10 years. 10 years. I was like, oh my God. And that's what happened. That was the same reaction when I told my TechStars mentors. They were like, oh my God, like you don't have a demand gen problem. You have a speed to market problem. You have to be in every market as fast as possible. And I was like, oh snap. So we went into like this master like mind of a go-to market strategy meeting. Well, that's where again the TechStars magic comes in. Peter Mullen and Carrington Carter and all these mentors start analyzing my business model, my revenue model, my go-to market, so that there's no holes, and it's like go, go, go. So we launched the ad, the default ad, right?
Incredible ad. I'm gonna link it down below for everyone who hasn't seen it.
Right, because we to get those bookings we have to have properties. So that ad was for people to realize, okay, there's a platform that houses traveling workers, and I get paid by a company, and I get longer stays. Okay, I'll sign up. So we have properties signing up all over the United States every single day. And but again, it's just not fast enough. Like so then I'm raising money right now to pour into more marketing, more advertising, more channel partners to again get this like a map, because I've already done the math. Current goal or current trajectory is 500,000 properties on the platform by the end of this year. Okay.
Wow.
We will still be at a deficit for 2 years. We will not have enough properties. There's too many projects. So unless there's like some mega miracle where it's like I go viral like overnight and 1 million properties get on the platform, even then I will still be at a deficit because these workers are traveling for the next 10 years. And I'll give you an example of a mega project going on in Nevada right now. I'm actually in Vegas for this project.
Okay.
This has been talked for like the last 10 years, but it's finally breaking ground this year. The high-speed rail project between LA and Las Vegas is breaking ground.
I just read an article about it yesterday. Yeah.
Right. So thousands of construction workers are going to be on that project. There's $18 billion worth of construction on the books here in Vegas alone.
Yeah.
So I'm chasing the bag. And
100%.
So I'm like one step to the next step. One booking after another till we get to 10 million ARR, which is annual reoccurring revenue. Once I can get to 10 million ARR, our valuation will go up again. And that's where the big dollars will start to want to write checks, because they're going to be like, listen, he's at 10 million ARR. Their team is small.
Yeah.
They need to scale. We need to give them a check for like 50 million.
Yeah. For real.
So I'm just doing all the right moves to where it's like I set the terms on what checks I accept. And I'm not begging anybody. I mean, I've been in due diligence with a VC since October, and everybody's like, why haven't you followed up? I'm like, he needs to follow up with me.
Yeah. You're building the company one way or another.
Because this train will pass.
Yeah.
And people will there's a very famous guy in business named Gary Vee. I'm sure you've heard of Gary Vee.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
And he talks about how he regrets not investing in Uber the first time that he had the chance.
Yep.
And it was because he didn't realize what they sell.
Yeah.
And it was 2 years later that he decided to pull the pull the trigger to invest at a much higher valuation, which he's kicking himself to this day, by the way. Like, he talks about the story all the time. But the reason is because he didn't realize that Uber sells time. And that's what WorkBnB does. We sell time. We killed the search bar. We give companies the ability to select multiple properties and drop them into a shopping cart. And for the first time in booking history, you can purchase all of these properties at one time.
Yes.
Saving time. And when you can save businesses time, you know this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Time is the most important commodity there is to businesses, right?
Yep.
So again, like, investors that know that we sell time, they're investing at my high valuation.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. And my final question for you, what advice do you have for prospective entrepreneurs, for the young Black or brown kid in Sacramento or St. Louis, where I'm from, or Chicago or Reno or Oklahoma City or Tulsa?
Right.
What's your advice?
First thing, be yourself.
Yeah.
Stop with the code switching. Just stop. Just stop. Like, be yourself.
Yeah. That's incredible.
You want to wear a chain, wear a chain.
Yeah.
You want to wear glasses, wear glasses. You want to dye your hair, you want to,
I love that.
Like, be yourself. Number one, just be yourself. It's time to stop trying to be like everybody else, because that shit is exhausting. And you're going to need all that energy to build this damn company of yours.
Wow.
So just
stop. That's incredible.
Be yourself, go after it. The next thing is, like, plug into a tech ecosystem that is going to give a shit about you, because you need people to share your stories. If you get published, you need people to share you.
Yes, sir.
I'm plugged into what we call the Tulsa 12. These are the first Black all CEO cohort in TechStars history. And
I love that.
And
That's
you know,
incredible.
we made our own sweaters. This is our
Yeah.
swag. We go out and wear our. I go into a meeting wearing this.
If y'all are
You know,
selling them, let me know. I would love to buy one. Like,
I would. We'll definitely hook you up with one
for
because you know
sure,
we
for
trying to
sure.
get the brand out. But you know,
Yes, sir.
it's like, you know, brand yourself. You
Yeah.
know, think about like your persona, how you're gonna come across. You're gonna win some and lose some anyway. Like
Yeah.
not everybody's gonna say yes, so you might as well get people who enjoy who you are and
Yeah.
want to back you for who you are. So
Yeah.
I find that to be important. And then lastly, yo, get your pitch down. Get your pitch down.
Yeah.
Get the pitch down. Stop over explaining. You don't need to be able to pitch in 10,000 words and tell how, you know, like I get it's hard. I get it.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to pitch at any given moment. Any given moment.
Yeah.
I was on a plane coming home from a trip on the East Coast, and I'm sitting in first class, hanging out, you know, enjoying my little ride, eating my, you know, snacks, and I'm sitting next to somebody who's
Yeah.
actually somebody,
Yeah.
and we get into a little chit chat about, you know, why am I going to Vegas and why he's going to Vegas. The next thing I know, he's like the head of some real estate organization.
Wow.
And he's like, hey, I love what you're building. I'm going to make a personal introduction. He got on his laptop right there and emailed the head of a fund called Second City
What?
Ventures that is
Yes.
in partnership with the National Association of Realtors.
Wow.
And he's like, yo, this would
Is Second
blow
City, is that
up.
in Chicago?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Second City Ventures. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're being considered for their next accelerator program,
Oh my God, that's
all
amazing.
because I know how to pitch.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yo, so I mean, the doors will fling open the better you get, the sharper you get, the more that you
Yeah.
get into this. You don't have to know how to code.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, first off, like it's thank you again for taking the time for the podcast today. It's incredible. Like it's clear that you know God is even doing some work to orchestrate your path like every step of the way. Like this blessed me. So thank you for that. And I'm sure it's been amazing for everybody who's been listening today. Where can people find you? Where can people get connected with you? Yeah,
Absolutely,
more about that.
absolutely. Real quick. All right. So I am on like everything. I'm on Twitter. WorkBnB CEO is my handle.
Okay.
Dajanique is WorkBnB Prez. We have WorkBnB Success, WorkBnB Creative. I mean, like, just look up the WorkBnB handles. WorkBnB
That.
app is our handle on like Twitter,
Okay.
Instagram. Uh, Now, my content varies. Like, if you want to
Yeah.
see and know me for who I am, more like Yeves Hangout Yeves or
Yeah.
Yeves Adventure Yeves, you know, check me out definitely on Instagram because, you know, I keep it kind of gritty on the Instagram. Like, that's where
For
I'm on
sure.
my grind, where I'm sharing
Yeah.
like a lot more insight. But Twitter, you know, and then LinkedIn, Facebook, just look us up, WorkBnB for sure.
All right.
Now LinkedIn is my superpower though. That's
Yeah.
where I get really into my bag because I'm a content writer and
Yeah.
I write my own articles. Like I don't
Wow.
subscribe to Chat GBT, nothing.
Yeah.
No, I am not a Chat GBT fan. I do not believe in being lazy in a
Yeah.
recession. Like I'm like, no, you need to write your
Yeah.
own thoughts, your own authentic articles.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I write my own posts. Um, WorkBnBapp.com is the website. That's where you can sign up your properties. That's where, if you know of any traveling workers, you can send the companies to there to sign up. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna blink and it's gonna be summertime, right?
Yeah.
And when we blink and we're at summer, the apps are gonna be on the app store. And when that happens, yo, like it's going to be on and cracking. And, you know,
yes, sir.
I'm on a mission to build the next big household name. Okay.
Yeah.
It will be
You're well on your way
everywhere. And when we get to that point and we're on our way to IPO, we're doing bookings overseas in Canada and Australia and this and that, all that type of stuff. Like, I would definitely love to come back on the show to report back.
Yes,
progress.
sir. Yes, sir. We need to have you back. We need to have you back.
Forbes the culture. Hey.
Yes, sir. Forbes the culture. Stand up. Well, yeah. Thank you all so much for tuning into the podcast. Thank you, Yeves, again. I can't say that enough. And we'll see you all in the next episode.
All right.